What up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Little housekeeping note here. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, like Apple, Spotify, also on YouTube, because, well, this episode's also a video one. So, yeah, exactly, Brandon. Brandon didn't even know that. So, don't forget you can check it out on YouTube as well. And if you do have like Apple and Spotify, if you could be nice, 5-star rating and like on Apple, a positive review. So Brandon, positive review. Okay. Can you just leave one for once and helps the algorithm and AI people find the pod. So
Allen Iverson's going to find the podcast.
yes. So do it. You got 2 phones. Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. So this episode of the podcast, we are going to play our usual game of top 5 plus, and shout out to one of our listeners, actually tip of the cap to one of our listeners, John, for this suggestion. He said that we should do a top 5 on athletes that played for different teams that, you know, kind of looked weird, or you kind of forgot that they played for that team. So I presented it to Mr. Berg, and he said, let's do it for this week. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Our top 5. Now, Brandon did his top 5 mixed in where, yes, it looks weird, but also you kind of forgot. I mostly went with you kind of forgot about these players. So, and you can do either or, right? You can do however you want a little bit here. So I will start with you. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I have 3.
Okay, I got a couple. So, but I'll go with you. So,
all right. My 3. First one, Joe Namath with the Rams.
Yeah.
At the end, I mean, obviously, everyone remembers him with the Jets. But yeah, he played at the end with the Rams, and it didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. This one's probably honestly kind of a common one, but Karl Malone with the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, that was obviously near the end when him and Gary Payton were kind of
Mm-hmm.
looking to acquire a ring, and they were coming off the bench, I believe.
They were starters.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Karl was a starter. Peyton, I think, was too. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah.
But
yeah, because they lost the Pistons.
That's right.
In the finals. So.
And the last one for me is Emmitt Smith with the Cardinals. Like that was that one's rough.
Yep. So, I do have a couple of honorable mentions as well. One of mine is Griffey Jr. with the White Sox. Ken Griffey Jr. with the White Sox. I mean, I remember watching him with the White Sox, but still, I think you think Mariners and Reds with Ken Griffey Jr. So him with the White Sox, kind of weird. Manny Ramirez with Tampa.
Oh yeah,
remember that one for a hot minute?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that one's on there for me as well. And then I had Namath for the rest, because I think a lot of people forget about that one. We could really go down in the weeds and like, well, Jim Taylor for the Packers, Saints now, but. Yeah. Namath one. I mean, it's so iconic with the Jets too. So, but those were mine. My nominate or my honorable mentions,
yes,
if you will. So, let's do number 5. Who do you have for your number 5?
My number 5 is one that's, I mean, it's pretty well known, but like, I've just kind of laughed over the years. It's just kind of the lengths it seems like it's gone to kind of make people forget it happened. That's Michael Jordan with the Wizards.
Okay.
Like, obviously people know that he came back out of retirement, but like, it's funny, like throughout the Last Dance and stuff, like it always made it feel like, okay, Michael Jordan went into retirement and he never played again.
Yeah.
Except when he came back for the Wizards. Like, it's just that nobody ever talks about it. Like, but besides the fact that people know it happened.
Right.
So
I think for me, so I do not have Jordan on mine. And mine is for the reason of this. It may sound weird, but again, I was not a Jordan fan as a kid when he was with the Bulls, because he beat my teams, which was at that time the Orlando Magic. But for some weird reason, when he came back to the Wizards, I became a Jordan fan. Like, I remember recording his last All-Star game when he was with the Wizards on VHS. Like, and that kind of changed it for me. So I think that's why I remember a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Because it went to like, that tide started to change. And I think it was maybe more so for me, like, yeah, he is the greatest, and maybe just kind of embracing it a little bit more and enjoying the moment a little bit more, if you know what I mean. So that's why he didn't make my list.
Gotcha.
On this.
Okay.
So number 5 for me, though, and this is a guy that had played for a couple different teams after his iconic one, but I'm particularly pinning him with this, and he never played a regular season game, but Jerry Rice with the Broncos. Because he obviously 49ers, went to a Super Bowl with the Raiders, played with the Seahawks, but I think people forget he spent practice with the Broncos for a hot minute.
Practice.
Was it minicamp or training camp in that? So, and then found out, I think it was like the story is Mike Shanahan said, yeah, probably not going to make the team, so he retired. That one, I think people kind of forget that he did spend some time with the Broncos. So Jerry Rice with the Broncos is my number 5 on that list. Number 4.
My number 4 is the only one I have that's like a player playing for the Vikings. That was really weird. And for a couple different reasons, this is just kind of like a half moment in time. Donovan McNabb with the Vikings.
Yeah.
Remember that prior?
That opened the door to the Kurt Ponder
Christian Ponder
era, didn't it?
Yes, it did, because the Vikings traded for Donovan McNabb prior to the 2011 season. They were going to double down on the idea of, obviously they got some mileage out of Brett Favre. Donovan McNabb on the outs in Washington.
Yep.
Gave up, I think it was like a day 3 picker, not much, but like, let's put it this way: they didn't give up much. And they still really didn't get any return on their investment.
Yeah.
He played pretty poorly, and he was dispatched by a rookie Christian Ponder by the end of October.
Yeah.
Because his first start was against Packers.
Yeah, because he played really well. I remember watching that one.
And but yeah, and then McNabb just kind of faded into obscurity and retired. So I mean, that's just one that's
Yep.
Like, even as a Vikings fan, it's like, it was just weird.
It was. So that's a good one. Number 4 for me was actually one of your honorable mentions. Emmitt Smith with the Cardinals. So I mean, that was just like, that one just seemed why, sort of thing. He broke the record when he was with the Cowboys, so it's not like he extended it just to try to break the record. So that one to me was just weird, and I think that one's really gotten forgotten over the years.
Even that, like, that era like Cardinals, were they still the No, I think they're Arizona then, but like,
but weren't they in the same division with the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think so. Well, no, because maybe by then they had realignment. But like, I don't know. I always associate that era of the Cardinals. But like, you see, I just see the mascot, which is just the generic Cardinal, and that's just like, to me, like the most generic team of that time. Like, I mean, obviously, as a Viking fan, they had the Nathan Poole game, but like, just like, what else can you say about that time period? Probably up until they drafted Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, what can you say about that period? Like, they had Jake Plummer.
I was going to say.
They made the
intro roll, I think, for a hot minute.
Yeah, but like, there's just that stretch where even you go back into like the 90s, where like, outside of like the year or two of Jake Plummer when they were good, like, there's just such a prolonged period of irrelevance.
Yep.
Remember Buddy Ryan was the coach for a bit, like, just shuffling through different court. Like,
I mean, you had the Pat Tillman.
Yeah, Pat Tillman. Yeah, that would but that was kind of at the end of that kind of era of irrelevance.
Right. Yep. All right. Number 3.
Number 3 for me is another Viking related one, but it's a Viking going to play somewhere else, and I still don't think people remember Chris Carter with the Dolphins.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Chris Carter played 5 games with the Dolphins in 2002. After playing, obviously, the majority of his career with the Vikings, played his first few years with the Eagles. Vikings famously picked him off waivers, went on to have a Hall of Fame career. But like, yeah, I think that was one where after 2001, that was when the Vikings really kind of reset everything, because that era was done. Like, they made the title game, and the 2000 got blown up by the Giants. 2001, they just, Denny Green got fired. Like, they went younger, and a lot of those players that had been around for so long were gone, and Chris Carter was one of them. If I remember correctly, he kind of floated around and ultimately, like, during the year, decided he was going to go play for the Dolphins.
Yep.
Plays 5 games for him. Started 1 game, had 8 catches, got 1 touchdown, but that's it. Like, just weird.
Yep. No, that's a really good one, and I kind of forgot about it too. So, there you have it. My number 3. Again, this is a guy at the back end of his career, hopped around to a lot of different teams, and you could probably pick a couple of them. But I'm going to go when he played for the Celtics, and that's Shaq. When Shaq played for the Celtics. Played for the Cavs for a hot minute, too. The Celtics one just seems kind of weird that, like, Shaq played for the Celtics. I think he wore 36 at that point. There's a really good clip. There's a lot of good clips when it comes to inside the NBA. But they're asking Shaq, why'd you wear this number? And, like, when it gets to the Celtics, you hear Barkley say, that's how many points he scored in a month. or how many points he scored the whole season, what it's like with the Cavs and the Celtics and such. So, but I mean, you kind of forget Shaq did play for the Celtics. Cavs, maybe you remember a little bit because it was with LeBron.
Yeah, but it was like he was such a world traveler by the end there.
Right. Yep. So I got Shaq as a
Good one.
Celtic member.
It's a good one.
Number 2.
Number 2 for me, as everyone famously remembers, Hakeem Olajuwon with the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not really too much we gotta say about this one, but yeah, Hakeem played for obviously famously with the Rockets.
Yep.
Won a couple championships, but at the end there's kind of a bit of a dispute there, as there often is. I played there till 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Only played the last year at the Raptors, but like for some of these too, like especially my first 2, there's just a couple like cursed photos out there that you'll famously see about people.
Yep.
You don't want to say like they're washed, but it's just like ones that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Hakeem, like, and at that point, Toronto just trying anything, but
Right. My number 2, I am gonna go with, again, he hopped around with a couple different teams. Patrick Ewing with the Sonics, though.
okay.
So he was with the Knicks, then he went to the Sonics, then he went to Orlando. And me being a Magic fan, I remember that era a little bit more. So the Sonics, when I think people forget, Supersonics,
Yes.
wearing that green.
And remember, you're not that
you
far removed from them being in the finals.
Exactly. So Patrick Ewing, to me, I think for me personally, you kind of forget that he did play for the Supersonics, because I do remember the Orlando one, because that was also when he went to Orlando. Sean Kemp came to Orlando to try to pair up with McGrady and Grant Hill. So that could have been another one there too with Sean Kemp.
Yeah,
but yeah, I got to go with Patrick Ewing with the Supersonics.
Right. And my number 1, I'm going to go with Patrick Ewing of the Supersonics.
Ah, that's funny.
It is for all the reasons. I mean, you explained it very, very well. I don't really have to expand much. But again, that's another one where you can just see that curse. You can see that even like to a lesser extent the Magic, but you just see those couple photos that will float around every once in a while where it's just like you can just tell, like, ooh, it's just not there anymore.
Yep.
I'm sure he's probably hurting, like just trying to get another year or two, but just it's tough.
My number 1 is Hakeem to the Raptors. So I mean, we were on the same page right there. That one to me is just so random.
Right.
It's so weird to see him in that Vince Carter era Raptors jersey. And it's just, I don't know. There's something about that one. I'm like, ooh, really? Really? He was with that one. I will probably randomly just forget that he actually played for the Toronto Raptors.
And it's funny because he only played the 1 year, but he had signed a 3-year deal because he got traded, but like he had then signed the 3-year extension with the team, but only played the 1 year. But back injuries, kind of short circuited him. But.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could add. I mean, I think a lot of people would have different lists and such, but it's interesting that I had a couple of baseball players, but you didn't.
And I tried.
Mm-hmm.
But like I tried, but I
think there's so much player movement now in baseball. Is that is that the thing? Like, even like, so we had quite a few basketball players on our list, Brandon, but those were back in the day. To whereas now I think it's more of a common thing.
Yes.
For player movement.
Yeah, because I mean, think of the guys we talked about. Like for me,
Jordan,
Hakeem,
Patrick.
Like Hakeem, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't happen.
Like, because I think you could
even Karl Malone.
You could have a serious debate. For example, one of the all-time greats. What team are you going to remember LeBron on?
For me, it's Cavs.
Yeah, but some people say Heat. Some of them might say Lakers. But that's the difference of today's game compared to the guys that we picked. Hakeem is always a Rocket. He will always be a Rocket. Patrick Ewing is always a Knick. He will always be a Knick. There's no debate. There may be a little bit for an all-time great like LeBron. So even like some of the other guys that we picked on this list, Jerry Rice is always a 49er. Even though he went to the Super Bowl with the Raiders, Jerry Rice for me is always Emmitt Smith, we both had on here, is a Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
But now in this day, there's so much player movement.
It's tougher.
Like some people I saw had Peyton Manning on their list, but no, he won a Super Bowl with,
and like he
with
was
Denver.
there. He was with the Broncos a few years.
I honestly feel like some people, you make the case, even this is to Peyton's side too. It feels like he piggybacks more with the Broncos lately.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like
He's very active still in Colorado.
Right. And it almost gives the impression that he identifies more with the Broncos as opposed to the Colts.
Yeah, like he didn't view that as like well, I still want to play and this is the only place I can go. Like,
right.
And like in 10 or 15 years, are people going to be thinking about this for like Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers?
That's actually what I was just going to bring up. And the thing is like, okay, say take away the Jets era and it's just 1 year with Pittsburgh. Then is it weird with Rodgers?
Probably more so because you don't have, it's
only not his third one,
yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
So yeah, but and we both didn't have Favre on ours.
No, and I don't know if it's just because obviously we were very much in it, where it's just kind of like, yeah, it happened.
Yep. And to the same breath, we didn't have Montana on ours.
No.
But I think it's because I'm of the age where we were really young when he was with Kansas City. I have cards of him with Kansas City, so I identify a little bit more with that.
Right.
So,
like, it might, like, honestly, some people, it might be like Steve Young with the Bucks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Even though he was there first.
That's a very good one. That's a solid one because I remember I got a card as a kid with him in a Bucks. I'm like, what? Like I was confused about it. But that's a really good one too. And honestly, too, if you really want to go, I think some people forgot we mentioned his name earlier, but Sean Kemp was with the Cavs.
Yeah. Rain Man. I mean, by the end of his career, Randy Moss was a bit of a nomad, but he played briefly for the Titans.
Yeah, I remember that trade that went down or a release.
He got released because it was after the trade. Because that was when he got traded from New England to Minnesota, but then last year
put a waiver claim on him
after he was released. Like, yeah.
So.
I was even trying to think outside
or the Randy with the 49ers.
That one, like, he went to a Super Bowl there.
That's true.
That's when I kind of, like, I remember because that was when they were playing Baltimore, and I was actually pulling for the Niners that year just because of Randy Moss. I wanted him to get a championship, but like, I was even trying to think like really outside the box with this. Like, I was even trying to think of like examples of like NASCAR, where like if there's a driver that drove one car forever and then drove somewhere else at the end, like I couldn't think of one that stuck out to me. Maybe you think of that way right now with Jimmy Johnson because he runs a very limited schedule.
Right.
But like, I just one didn't pop out of my head right away.
Good stuff. Let us know who we missed. Hit us up on socials or email us and all that good stuff. So we're going to wrap it up on this episode of the Man Cave Podcast. Again, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee. Don't forget to follow and subscribe and catch up on all of our podcasts. Until next time, for Brandon Berg, I'm Dan Casper. We'll talk to you in the next episode of the Man Cave Podcast.